You know, growing up, I believed that practicing spiritual disciplines would make you a better Christian. Here's the problem with that. I didn't want to do any of them. Like, I didn't want to read my Bible all day. I didn't want to go in my room and pray to God for hours upon hours upon hours. And then the fact that I didn't want to do those things made me feel guilty because I'm a Christian, and so I would say, I'm doing it. Like, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to do it. I don't care if you don't like it. Do it. Then I would get bored and lazy and angry and feel more guilty again. You know, it wasn't until, spiritual disciplines became oppressive to me. It wasn't until I read a book called The Celebration of Discipline by Richard Foster. Fantastic book, by the way. It's pretty much the perennial Protestant book on practicing spiritual disciplines. So if you haven't read it, I recommend you do. Little sidebar, I used to teach a class on this book, and then the author walked into the class one day. And so I said, we have a guest teacher today. But it wasn't until I read his book that I saw that practicing spiritual disciplines don't actually make God love you more. They certainly don't make you need God's grace any less. Here's what practicing spiritual disciplines do. They deepen your relationship with the Creator. And that's the point. That when we practice spiritual disciplines, when we practice holiness, over time it retrains us to like the good things that God has for us again. It changes our hearts over time. If we practice spiritual disciplines out of obligation, that leads to anger, boredom, or bitterness, and then guilt. But if we practice holiness as a means to deepening our relationship with Christ, then we will find ourselves receiving the sanctifying grace that actually changes our hearts again.